Meloni checked her weapons. 4 knives, a gun, and 7 bullets. It was enough to defend herself when things got ugly. She only hoped that she'd get in and out before that happened. There was a building about half a mile east. She had the mind to check it out before climbing the shaft to spy on the encampment. It was an old recording studio. Upon further investigation, she noticed that the soundproofing was still intact. If she could just get a guard there without being noticed, she could interrogate him without worrying about him alerting his friends. She watched the guard at the base of the shaft. He was scrawny-looking, probably malnutrition. They didn't look like the sort who knew where to hunt or harvest proper food. This encampment was one of the many that housed the most dim-witted mercenaries. Meloni could use that to her advantage. This guard was the only one stationed outside the gate. It was useful for her. It meant that she didn't have to smuggle him out the gate. This was going to be too easy. Lead the guard to the studio, grill him for information, then circle back to gather some supplies from the kitchen if there was enough time left. Meloni had to move fast. With the grace of a gymnast, she used the corroded iron from the shaft to lower herself level by level. The placing of her hands had to be precise. God only knew what illnesses she would get if the iron cut her. Never mind the attention her fall would attract. Every possible outcome played out in her head. With every level, the result became more gruesome, until she was on the level above the guard, and the image in her head showed her running through the desert, a horde of immunes behind her, and the nighters following as soon as the sun hid behind the dunes. What happened to her body, was not a pretty sight. Shaking the thoughts from her head, she pulled her mask over her face, the hand-painted skull resembling something from nightmares. With her face covered, she was nothing but a black wraith with a white skull where her face once was. Meloni moved like ink in water, the hood over her head not moving an inch as she dropped down behind the guard and pressed a knife to his throat. "One word and your blood will seep into the sand. Got it?" Her voice was raspy, partially because she wanted to mask it as much as possible, and partly because she hadn't spoken out loud in days. The mercenary must have been smarter than she thought, as he threw his hands in the air and swallowed. She felt the slight movement below her blade. It caused a thin trickle of blood to escape his split skin. Meloni had timed the attack just right. It was a few minutes before the guards changed shift, and the guards were casual enough not to worry about one taking off a few minutes early. If the other guard got to the post, she and her mercenary friend would have been long gone.